Think of this as a two-nation vacation, an island where anything can happen. It's a place where international hiking, biking, kayaking, and especially birding tours go. You don't have to work hard to find all the abundant sea life that gathers here in the Bay of Fundy. Grand Manan is a Canadian island just off the coast of Maine. It's about 9 miles offshore from Quebec. It stretches 21 miles long and about 13 miles wide at its widest point. There's about 2,600 people here year-round. The population swells in the summer, a lot of part-time residents and a lot of vacationers. Many of the local population are involved in the tourism industry, but most are involved in fishing. There's a lot of farm-raised salmon and pens just out in the bay. You'll see the herring weirs for what's going to be future sardines, and there's a lot of lobstermen here. The Grand Manan adventure actually starts in Black's Harbor, New Brunswick, with a 90-minute ferry ride to the island. Along the way, porpoises, dolphins, and whales. The ferry is an excellent pelagic trip, steaming through large flocks of great shearwaters, and sometimes sooty and Manx shearwaters. Atlantic puffins, razorbills, and these common murres are frequently seen. Northern gannets are plentiful. And it happens all the way from the mainland to the island. It doesn't take long to hit the first birding stop. The ferry comes in at North Head, at the north end of Grand Manan, and the harbor is alive with gulls. Mostly herring, some great blackback gulls, and do look for other special gulls. Swallowtail Light is one of those places you may want to come every single day. It doesn't happen every day, but when the conditions are right, the tide is right, the wind is right, pelagic birds will come in here. So you'll see shearwaters right out here over the rocks. You'll see northern gannets splashing in the surf out here. On a particularly lucky day, you could have minke whales right just below your feet, and even the humpback whales will come in this close if the food is right. You'll always see harbor seals in here. You'll always see gray seals. You may see harbor porpoises, and if you're really lucky, you may get white-sided dolphins. They are impressive. Castalia Marsh has been famous for a long time. A lot of the rarities that have been documented in New Brunswick were right here. Funny day out here in Castalia Marsh. Whimbrel, short-billed dowitcher, semi-palmated plovers and sandpipers. And they're not even the main show. The sparrows are putting on a laugher. Savannah sparrows are chipping at me everywhere I go. They've got their family with them and they don't want me there, so they're popping right up and posing. And the Nelson sparrows are everywhere and singing, and they've got their family and they're staring at me. So many Nelson sparrows today. This is one of those secret spots that is really productive. Look for WC Breakwater Road in Woodard Cove, and just keep bearing left as you get into the parking lot. You'll go by some buildings, some industrial buildings, and just come into the parking lot area behind that, and you'll find an interesting mud flat at low tide and a good beach area for shorebirds, waterfowl. There's a freshwater wetland just on the other side of this beach that is productive for a lot of ducks. You'll find breeding ducks, nestlings in here. And sometimes you even get a special bird you wouldn't expect, like a great egret. In Grand Harbor, the main harbor is at Ingalls Head. From here, a 30-minute ferry ride takes you to an amazing place, Whitehead Island. Plan on at least half a day here. The Whitehead ferry is free. There's a lot of runs over to the island, but there's only room for 12 cars, so get here a few minutes early. The ferry ride can be quite birdy if it's not foggy. Fewer than 200 people live on this island. Most are fishermen or retired. Lobster fishing is the primary employment. When you get off the ferry, turn right. Your destination is this lighthouse and beyond. The walk to the lighthouse is fun because it's over a cobblestone road, all these cobblestones thrown up by the ocean, and past a lot of salt marsh scenery and greenery. So, common yellowthroat, Savannah sparrow, song sparrow, they're just like everywhere. But what I'm really after is whimbrels. They love this beach from about the beginning of August on into September. Manan is kind of quaint. It hasn't changed much over the decades. You get out to Whitehead and it's just a little bit different because it's wilder out here. Out at the lighthouse, you're at a point with no other houses nearby. It's a mile-long walk to get here. Then you're with the seaweed, the beaches, and nobody else. Once you get past the lighthouse, the road winds down to a beach, a really secluded beach. It's unusual to find people down here. If they are here, it's not unusual to find them skinny dipping. Seriously, secluded. Something else you should know about this beach, it's lined with spruce behind it, and so a lot of northern forest birds are here, including boreal chickadee and yellow-bellied flycatcher. Expect the beach to have shorebirds later in summer. There's a freshwater pond behind the beach that is usually very productive for waterfowl. Also at high tide, the gulls will roost on this beach. There's a lot of visibility so they can see eagles coming and so they don't worry about them so much. If you came to these islands to get away from it all, congratulations. You've succeeded. Anchorage Provincial Park is many things, all of them good. It's a very comfortable campground with hot showers and feral bunnies. It's a mile-long beach. It's 2 productive ponds. Long Pond is favored by herons, gulls, and terns. Beyond that, Great Pond is preferred by waterfowl, including Canada geese, American widgeon, mallards, black ducks, and teal. And between the 2 ponds, a short nature trail that beats everything. One of the cool things about Grand Manan is all the benches are made to look like lobster traps. Bagley Trail is extraordinary. It's short and it's easy to walk, but it winds through maritime boreal forest. And so the habitat in here is just extraordinary. There's lots of warblers in here that are easy to get in the early part of the season. They may hide on you in the later half, but they're here. Everything's got old man's beard hanging from it. It's a lichens, so it's not hurting the plants. Spruce, fir, tamarack. Hermit thrushes definitely in here. Obviously chickadees, kinglets, nuthatches. At the far end of the trail, there's a short little path that leads out into the bog. From here, you can scan for palm warblers, maybe Lincoln sparrows, almost certainly northern harriers. It's a short but scenic loop, and all of a sudden you're out, right over to the beach. This may be the biggest beach you'll ever find with nobody on it. Seriously, nice sandy beach, nobody on it. Well, I take that back. Shorebirds are on it, usually sanderlings, sometimes these semi-palmated plovers. Here's a spot that's more secret than most of the rest, Red Point Beach. As beaches go, there's not a lot of sand. Actually, a lot of it's magnetite. A lot of this granular stuff is magnetic. You can pick it up with iron. Red Point Beach explains a lot of what Grand Manan is. Hundreds of millions of years ago, this was a major fault line. The earthquake that separated the hard rock from the soft rock split it off, and this all eroded on this side into harbors. That side is all cliffs. The other awesome thing about Red Point Beach is this trail. It runs all the way over to the Anchorage Provincial Park, right along the top of the cliff. And so it's a level, easy walk, and it happens to have a lot of birds. Now, none of these birds are particularly rare. It's just a lot of warblers. Black-throated green, northern parula, black and white, common yellowthroat. Vireos are in here, blue-headed vireo in particular. Look at all these bushes. So goldfinches in August just go nuts in here. Song sparrows still raising their kids. So if you're looking for a nice, easy birdie walk, Red Point Beach trail system is really good. Southwest Head. Doesn't get any better than this. 200 to 300 foot cliffs all around with an expansive view of the ocean. For birding, obviously, this is a spectacular place. A lot can happen here, and the funny thing is you can look over the edge of the cliff carefully, and the black guillemots are down there like 200 feet straight down. You can even see their red feet dangling in the water below them. This is at a very spruce fir boreal forest type at the end of the island, and so a bunch of red crossbills just flew over me. Sometimes over there, just past the parking lot, you get boreal chickadees. The hedgerows along the edge, full of common yellowthroats and sometimes other warblers. Black and white can be out here. Just so you know, if you're walking this path first thing in the morning, it's going to be covered in dew and you're going to get soaked. It's hard to get anything to grow out here in this field because the winter winds and ice will just annihilate anything that gets too high. In less than a mile, the terrain changes and starts to go up and down as you follow the cliffs further to Hay Point, and the trail becomes interesting. And now that you're between all these trees, the birds become a little more varied. You can get more warblers in here. I've had unusual birds like blue-gray gnatcatcher in here, and I almost never get them this far north. Now, this is just a spectacular hike. This is one of those places you don't want to get too close to the edge to take a selfie or make a YouTube video. One of the incredible things about Grand Manan is there are trails all over the island and especially around the entire perimeter. But it's all private land, so if you're going to use them, behave yourself. The entire west side of Grand Manan is a 300-foot tall cliff, except in one place, Dark Harbor. Notched and eroded by a cascading river flowing into a natural lagoon formed by tides and storm-tossed rocks. The harbor is protected by the rocky barrier, with strong tidal waters flowing in and out at the north end. It really is a dark harbor. Truth is, when I come to Grand Manan, I wait for the worst possible weather, gloomy, rainy, foggy, and come to Dark Harbor because it looks even better. While some lobster fishing and aquaculture is associated with the harbor, its chief claim to fame is dulse, a flavorful dark seaweed treasured by maritime Canadians, harvested from the shoreline rocks into these boats at low tide. It's hard work. The harvesters just go out there in these dories at low tide and scoop it into the boats with pitchforks. From there, it's often spread out on nets in yards and just dried in the sun. Dark Harbor is pretty quiet during the week. It's where some locals go on weekends to enjoy the sea air and some of that good Canadian beer. Oh boy. Just heard a whimbrel, and I think that's the first time I've ever heard one in Dark Harbor. Technically, this is Long Eddy Point Light Station, but the locals just call it the Whistle. There's a lot of reasons for birders to come here. The tide races around this point and creates an eddy, a tidal current, where the porpoises, harbor seals, gray seals will come in to feed. Birds will come in to feed. You'll even see some of the pelagic species coming in close, like Sometimes you'll see the great shearwaters and the northern gannets coming in close here to feed. Even the minke whales will come into this little tide eddy. Funny thing is, right around the woodlands in this area, there's a lot of warblers hanging out. Redstart calling over there. There's a black-billed cuckoo calling up there. It's a first for me on this island. Most people come here for the incredible scenery. It looks 9 miles across to the mainland, with US and Canada both in view. Well, this is new. At slack tide, not much is happening. The gulls will just roost down there in the beach. The whales, the pelagic species, they'll stay further out. The sunsets are awesome. In fact, you'll find a social gathering any good night here. Manan was the native word for island. Grand was the French word for grand. And it is a grand island. Good night from Grand Manan.